Now we have a fireside chat on emerging tech to bring the next 200 million consumers online. I would like to invite Mohammad Ujale, Senior Assistant Editor at the Economic Times, to moderate this chat session. Over to you, Ujale.
Hello and welcome to ET Retail E-Commerce Summit 2021. As you would have noticed, despite the ongoing pandemic creating unprecedented challenge to business continuity plans for many organizations, the crisis has also presented a great opportunity to be a digital enterprise. Along with the repurposing of existing IT infrastructure, the next generation technologies such as AI, machine learning, robotics, AR, VR are effectively playing a key role in seamless delivery of goods and services to consumers. These technologies have the potential to bring India's next 200 million consumers online and make them part of country's e-commerce success story. To understand these trends, I'm joined by Mr. Jayendran Venugopal, Chief Product and Technology Officer from Flipkart. Mr. Venugopal, thank you for joining us today. Let me begin by asking you, uh, during the pandemic, what we realized that all types of organization, be it public sector, enterprises, small, medium businesses, they all actually face some level of challenges. An organization which had some technology related integrated platform, they were able to mitigate those challenges quite well. Based on your experience, I would like to understand how actually you leverage technology during the pandemic.
Thanks, Ujale. Before I get into that, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be a part of the forum and sharing some of our thoughts and experiences from Flipkart. To answer your question, when we started seeing the disruptions happening with the onset of the pandemic last year, we quickly realized that I think being nimble on our feet, innovating to be able to address challenges that were coming up every day was essential for not just business continuity, but for also serving the country in a time of need. Right? So clearly, e-commerce was one channel that was able to operate and continue to deliver essentials for the country in a time of great need. Right. So I'll talk about a few of the things that we looked at as specific dimensions or pivots where we thought that technology, being technology enabled, helped us to be able to do that quick agile pivots and continue to serve customers. So the first element was, of course, safety, right? So we wanted to make sure that safety of our customers, safety of our sellers, safety of the workforce, the last mile frontline workforce that we had, and safety of our employees were all very key, right? So in terms of technology leverage and deployment for that, we did several things. For example, we were able to quickly reconfigure the business to understand the concept of containment zones and where you could serve what type of product so that we don't unnecessarily need to actually cause any inadvertent breaches in terms of the level of quarantine and containment that were needed, right? So being able to reconfigure our merchandising, our fulfillment systems and supply chain to understand these concepts of different containment zones, different districts, different states had their own limitations on what products can be delivered, what cannot be, and so on, right? So we did a lot of work to incorporate those elements into the design of our entire platform. So that is one element. In terms of safety at the doorstep, as you know, India still shops primarily using cash as a vehicle, right? Digitization has made a lot of progress, but we wanted to actually quickly convert everything to a digital form of payment, because accepting cash at the doorstep or even card at the doorstep was a safety concern, both for customers and for our last mile workforce. So we did some innovations there, of course, based on UPI, QR codes and link-based payments, post-order placement, etc., so that we accept only digital payments, right? So those are some of the things that we did. The other elements were around quickly forming partnerships, integrating at the systems level to be able to surface inventory from, let's say, offline players. We partnered with ecosystem players, modern trade players around the country to be able to quickly onboard them, get their inventory on our platform, and then expand, for example, the grocery presence for our platform across several cities very quickly, right? Those kind of innovations happened. We partnered with basically gig economy workers, like cabs and others, right? Who obviously were having a bit of a struggle because obviously their business was not at usual at that point, right? So as a win-win, we partnered with them and used basically the likes of Uber, Meru Cabs, etc. as delivery partners for us, right? So those kind of quick technology and systems-based integration enabled us to do partnerships in a very, very agile way, and be able to react to the pandemic in a way that allowed us to do business continuity. Of course, on even workforce safety and other things, we did a lot of innovations. For example, to ensure mask wearing protocols, social distancing protocols, etc. We deployed technology solutions in some of our high density workplaces, right? So that you want to make sure that even in a fulfillment center or a mother hub, etc., we do not breach the distancing protocols, mask wearing protocols, etc. So we deployed solutions, computer vision solutions that basically flagged those kind of things to floor supervisors, so they could actually train their staff and monitor for violations and so on and so forth, right? So a lot of things got done. I'm just calling out only a very, very small set of them.
Right, absolutely. We also understand the fact that due to digitization and organization leveraging technology platform, which has accelerated during pandemic, even the choice pattern of consumer as to how he wants to access certain thing has changed. And what we understand that the next 200 million online consumers are going to be completely and slightly different from what you would have the previous 200 million consumers. And among all these, especially the emerging technologies are playing key role, because it allows you to touch point them. It allows you to have a data insight, have a kind of visibility, and then you can plan your things. So in that light, I would like to understand how do you look at the role of emerging technologies such as AI, ML, robotics for creating a kind of CX that the consumer is expecting.
Absolutely. So if you look at India and the demographic of the audience that is already on the internet and on e-commerce, there are some interesting patterns that we can see. Right, right now, let's say for the full year last year, roughly the industry estimates are that e-commerce as an overall industry had about 140 million active online shoppers, right? So this compares to about 600 odd million people who we know are on the internet, right? And a lot of the new internet users have actually discovered this medium in the last 2-3 years or thereabouts, right? I think the availability of cheap phones, which are at very powerful and data plans that enable them to access the internet freely, or I mean, when I say freely, I mean for extremely cheap cost, right? So has been good tailwinds for driving up internet adoption in the country. So what we see is that, and there was a very interesting statistic that happened last year that passed by unnoticed in the middle of the pandemic, understandably, right? So, and that statistic was that for the very first time in India, if you consider the number of monthly active internet users that came from metro tier 1 cities versus tier 2 and beyond, for the first time in the country, the MAUs from tier 2 and beyond were higher than basically the metro tier 1 audience, right? So that is a telling statistic, and we see that very clearly in our own analytics as well, right? So north of 70% of new users that we acquire on the platform are coming from tier 2 and beyond cities. And we have done a lot of focus group discussions, ethnographic studies and others with that cohort. What we realize is that what they look for as the most user-friendly elements of a platform that they access are 3 things, right? One is vernacular, the second one is voice, and the third one is video. So these 3 pillars are the key, and how you leverage them are very important for engaging this audience in a meaningful way, right? So we have invested substantially in all three of them. Vernacular, for example, we deploy AML technologies at scale. We do natural language processing to reduce word error rates, etc., for voice, and so on and so forth, right? Intent detection, semantic intent detection for content in vernacular, etc. Similarly, we do machine translation for user-generated comments, because that's a very important element of decision making for users. So a lot of interesting technology deployments that we have worked on and done there. With respect to emerging technologies, augmented reality, I believe, is going to play a very, very important part. And we acquired a company last year, and as a technology acquisition, small acquisition, tuck-in acquisition, and we have invested and scaled that. And very recently, we launched actually augmented reality-based product cataloging on our platform across different verticals. So yeah, I think computer vision, augmented reality, AML, robotics is another big area where we are investing in. With the increasing scale in the country of e-commerce, we want to deploy at scale robotics, autonomous robotics, as much as possible in our fulfillment centers, deep reserves, mother hub sortation centers, and everywhere, right? So those are some of the emerging technologies that we are using actively.
Right. We also noticed during the pandemic, and especially these days, that when there is some level of opening and people are starting working either from home and some of them going to office, for most of the technology leaders, one thing has become quite important, that they want to set up an IT infrastructure which should be resilient, which is scalable and agile. If tomorrow something like this comes, they should be able to face and mitigate that challenge on the go. In that light, what would be your views on resiliency part? How do you look at in post-pandemic world?
Yeah, I think being able to support a remote workforce, maybe even majority of the workforce being remote, either in contingencies or in the future, even in a steady state basis, is now an important imperative for any IT organization. So, and in tandem with that, IT organizations also have to take care of security, right? Cybersecurity is becoming a really large area of focus for a lot of enterprises. When you allow a largely remote workforce, it's about scaling and resilience and having business continuity plans, disaster recovery systems built in by design, right? They're not patched on top of existing systems, but you think bottoms up from a disaster recovery and business continuity perspective. And also a lot of these systems, your DCP, DR systems, if you're exercising them only when a real disaster happens, then more often than not, you'll find that they don't work because they've gathered dust. It has not kept up to pace with other system changes that have happened. So having the right operating protocols to periodically do what is in the parlance known as like chaos engineering, planned shutdowns, or unplanned surprise stress being put on systems, and seeing how the systems react, etc., are becoming important paradigms for any organization to imbibe and build their systems design and architectures around.
Absolutely. And what would be your suggestion to the, let's say, e-commerce firm or any kind of firm which has already invested a lot of into the legacy system? And nowadays, these are the time of Kubernetes and containerization. So how should they balance between their legacy system and modernization?
Yeah, I think with the increasing scale, I think it is important to actually be aware of very interesting developments happening in open source, in let's say cloud platforms out there, public clouds, etc., and be able to leverage best in breed solutions for what you're trying to do, right? I think not reinventing the wheel, following standards and practices, and investing in what makes sense for your business and for your customers should be the core of how you plan your investment thesis, right? So to that effect, I think for any product or technology leader or IT leader or CIO to look at, it is becoming even more critical to be completely on top of emerging technologies, constantly think about innovating on the basis of those technology levers, not being afraid of disrupting yourself as a business, inventing new business models backed by technology. I think these are all very critical elements of how the new age IT enterprise or a technology product driven enterprise will have to look like.
Right, right. What we also understand that for most of the technology leader in e-commerce sector, product innovation and delivery innovation, these are two critical factor they always look for. So in your views, how do you look at and what kind of work is being done at Flipkart in these two areas?
Yeah, I think product innovation is at the heart of everything that we do, right? We believe that in B2C commerce, to really democratize the benefit of e-commerce, your selection, value, convenience, everything that e-commerce as a paradigm brings to our sellers and our buying consumers, we will have to actually continue to innovate, right? Because India is a very different country. We cannot take the playbook of any other country and apply it as is, right? The geographical diversity is immense. The vernacular diversity is immense. And even buying patterns, the products that sell in one part of the country versus others, which means that your demand planning, supply forecasting, everything, right? All of that are also going to be much more nuanced and complicated, and off-the-shelf playbooks many times don't work for you, right? So then what do? I think you will have to actually think of innovation as not a nice to have, but as the core of how you will actually win the market. And even in robotics, for example, many times robotic solutions that work in, for example, Western countries don't work here, right? And there are many factors for it. One big factor is, of course, the break-even cost will not make sense for us if you take off-the-shelf solutions and apply as it is, right? Second, the conditions at which these machineries operate are very different, right? We very rarely have dust-free environments, and very, very high maintenance kind of machinery doesn't work, right? So it has to be highly resilient. The level of skills and training that your workforce may have will be very, very different, right? So for all of these reasons, I think you can get inspiration from things that happen in other markets, but you will have to do India first, India-centric innovations. And that is inevitable, right? It's not a nice to have. That's what I would say on the product innovation side. On delivery innovation, I think that's also an interesting space, right? As organizations continue to scale, how do you balance the need for having deterministic delivery so that our business and operations and marketing and other functions can work together with us to plan go-to-markets and other things? That is also important. At the same time, your efficiency of your workforce, the tooling that you provide them, and the enablement that you do for them to be able to achieve that level of high level of innovative throughput, right? It's not about just throughput, right? It's about innovation combined with throughput. That is the crux of what a modern enterprise, product tech-led enterprise demands, right? So that means also the way of working and the way in which we plan delivery and execute on it is also going to have to be experimented with constantly, right? So we experiment with growth hacking, have different ways of doing prototypes and proof of concepts, and how we do planning and release management, and how far we look ahead, how do we do strategy, all of that we have constantly kind of twiddled and refined over the years, and we believe we have arrived at some things that work for us reasonably well. But that said, we will continue to keep experimenting on that as well.
Mr. Venugopal, thank you so much for your time. You spoke quite well on the challenges posed by the pandemic and how the next 200 million online consumers are going to be different, and what kind of role emerging technologies such as AI, robotics, and machine learning can play, and also what kind of technology investment and the technology leaders should be making to ensure that their IT infrastructure remains resilient and it should be able to mitigate any kind of challenge which may happen in future. And also your views on the product innovation and delivery innovation. So thank you so much once again for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ujale, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Venugopal and Ujale, for an engaging discussion. Time to jump to the next session. Stay tuned and keep tweeting using the hashtag #ET Ecom Summit.